Welcome to Haunt Weekly.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this is Haunt Weekly, a weekly podcast for the haunted attraction, haunted entertainment community. Whether you're an actor, owner, or just plain aficionado, we aim to be a podcast for you. And we return to you this week with a topic, as we usually do. But this one is our most WTF haunt moments, basically.
Yeah.
And this is a spinoff of the question we asked last week. And basically just a chance for us to talk about some of the weird crap we've seen, both running a haunt and in going to haunts. So more on the nature of the topic in just a second. We got a lot to get through before we get there. But do want to let you know, if you have not done so already, take a moment. Subscribe to us at all the social media places. We're at hauntweekly.com. We're on facebook.com/hauntweekly, twitter.com/hauntweekly. We're also youtube.com/hauntweekly. It's the YouTube channel, the easiest and bestest way to get all the previous episodes in my mind. You can also subscribe to us on your favorite podcast subscription service, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, whatever you love, whatever your jam is, come find us there. Okay. So anyways, I mentioned last week we had a question of the week. And we asked, quite simply, what was your weirdest haunt experience? Mm-hmm. And we got some interesting answers. Mm-hmm. A lot of different directions out of this one. Which actually is kind of cool.
Yeah, it is.
I really like that. James Thurman had an actual experience where he describes as a ghost. And it says that his haunt is actually a big place for like ghost hunters and all that. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, hey, you know, I am a skeptic myself. I've never said otherwise. But if you can pitch your haunt as a place for ghost hunters to pay you money and come ghost hunt,
yeah,
Godspeed, good person.
Go for it.
I say go for it.
Sam Farrell said Sleep No More in New York City. More of an interactive haunt experience. Kind of reminded him of...
reminded me of Lost to Souls.
Oh, reminded you.
Yeah, sorry. I put me
I don't know.
I wrote the notes. It's me. He reminded him of the Haunted Puddle, which I can see why, because there were a lot of interactive elements in the Haunted Puddle. But this sounds a lot more like what Scott was doing is doing with Vault of Souls.
Right, and it was every visitor had to wear a mask and could not speak.
And it was like a bunch of interactive rooms. And interactive, I guess, since you can't speak, is in kind of the light sense of the word here. Mm-hmm. But also, Chris Gay discussed the haunted candle shop in the Poconos. There is a sentence I never thought I would say. I'm not going to lie. I just want to repeat it to make sure I didn't fuck it up.
I just love the idea that maybe he went there for... vacation and found this randomly. Like we tend to do.
Oh, yeah, like the Spear Chunkin Museum when we were in...
Oh, I was thinking of the haunted attraction at the castle.
Oh, yeah, the one at Onnet Castle in England, yeah. Haunters tend to get themselves in very weird situations when they travel. Yeah. Or Dracula's tomb thing in Budapest.
Yeah, but this also reminded me of the farm one that we went to that was also actorless. Oh,
Eckert's Farm, yeah.
Eckert's Farm had a little actorless tour.
That you can only really describe as a haunted attraction. Yeah. It had most of the similar beats. It was just completely actorless. But anyways, this is apparently, like I said, actorless, and it is a guided tour. You do have a physical guide with it. You did not have that at Eckert's, or at Spear Chunkin Museum, or at the Cave. Or really, we have a problem, don't we? We go to places where there's no one to fucking lead you, and you get lost.
Yeah.
I'm just realizing this might be a theme in our lives that we really need to do something about.
No, it leads to good stories.
Yeah, but regardless, and it was just apparently a really interesting, spooky time in telling the story of all the happenings there. And then in that regard, it actually reminds me a little bit of the Pharmacy Museum here in New Orleans in the French Quarter, which does something very similar. But you've got to go there at like a super special time to get the guided tour. Usually it's just a walk around and read plaques type of thing. Yeah. If you can time it so you go there for the guided tour, highly recommend. Yeah. The guided tour there is excellent. All right, that brings us to this week's question. I've asked you the weirdest. What is the funniest moment you've had in a haunted house? And I'm clarifying this time deliberately, either visiting or working.
Okay.
That is tough. for me. I actually put this question in there without actually thinking of my answer, which I very often
Well,
do.
I just got home, so...
Yeah, I know. Well, for me, I know
My
working,
first time seeing it.
the most fun we've ever had was the marionette guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've never seen anyone with that particular startle reaction. And the only way to describe him is he moved like a marionette.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I thought he was putting us on. Like the first little bit of video I saw, I thought he was putting us on and being kooky and whatever for his friends and for his family. I think it was with his family benefit. But then you realize, no, this is how he is.
Yeah.
This is just what he does. And it's hilarious. Like, he's never going to get murdered because the minute anyone springs out to attack him, he's going to do that and they're just going to die laughing on the spot. It's like the perfect self-defense mechanism.
Yeah.
He will never get murdered. It's just great. Inside another haunt. I don't know.
For me, inside of another haunt would be Waterloo, seeing Ellie and Shawnee get got by the chainsaw guy popping out for the third time.
Yeah, or the third drop panel right there.
Yeah.
Because
it was some kind of scare that was 3 in a row, and they weren't expecting it.
No one was, honestly. The way that room was laid out, it didn't seem like there should be a third.
Right.
I also remember, I can't remember which haunt it was now, actor comes in and says, "I'm going to put you in a cage."
It was one of the ones on the Atlanta trip.
Yeah, it was one of the ones on the Atlanta trip, and I just sort of hung my head and said, "Again?" And he goes, "I don't know how to respond to that. I'm going to go back now."
Yeah.
So, fun moment. But you know what? I know that like actor coaches would be like, "Oh, that's not how that actor should have handled that. He should have had something ready." No, sometimes you just go for the laugh.
Yeah.
I felt very fucking entertained by that actor. I do not want him chided at all.
Mm-hmm.
I was highly entertained.
Yeah.
And that is indeed the goal of a haunt, is it not?
Mm-hmm. It is.
I heard that rumor. All right. Some smart people on a podcast said that once. I seem to recall that.
You might have gotten it from somebody else, though.
I know, but we got it from Japes, actually.
And John LaFlamboy is where it originated.
Well, the point is, smart people, not including us, have said that. Mm-hmm. And I agree with it completely. All right. Well, as we're both recording this and as it's uploading, because we're having to do this on Monday due to a scheduling conflict, Transworld ended over the weekend. Transworld took place this weekend. We did not go. We are outsiders looking in. So first things first, safe travels home, everyone.
Yes, definitely.
Please, please, please be safe. Take your time. There's some bad weather moving through certain parts of the country right now. We're actually on kind of pseudo lockdown tomorrow for bad weather.
Yeah,
so
I get to work from home.
So please, please, please be safe. Be careful and try to enjoy your trip as much as, no matter how you travel really does suck. Try to make the best of it. But here we are, outsiders looking in. We've been watching all the haunt groups, our haunter friends that were there, trying to keep an eye on things. I was a little surprised.
Me too.
This go around. The main takeaway, like the numero uno takeaway for me, is that there was no numero uno takeaway.
Yeah.
There was no lead item.
No.
Every year that we've had a Transworld, go ahead.
Go ahead.
We've had like a thing.
Yeah, and it may still be coming.
Yeah,
It may be that people haven't gotten home yet and gone through all their photos and posted all the things.
And we had the thought yet. That's true. That's possible. There's still time, but usually we know by now.
Yeah.
And usually there's a thing. Like one year it was that Pennywise animatronic, that giant Pennywise. Last time they had it was that flaming organ where the guy eventually shit all over everything. Mm-hmm. There was that Jack in the Box puppets one year that everyone was in love with, the talking puppet thing. There's been a lot of things.
Yeah.
And they were the hit that people couldn't shut up about and stop sharing. There wasn't anything like that. I saw a lot of photos of different stuff, and a lot of it looked really good. A lot of talk about different types of props and prop makers, a lot of interest in expanding businesses through like carnival games and things like that. Mm-hmm. But nothing like stood out. Nothing really jumped out. Nothing took the lead and became, nothing left our circles,
Right.
Like, when the pipe organ and the Pennywise doll, or Pennywise animatronic were big, that went viral well outside the haunted attraction community.
Yes, our friends sent it to us to make sure we had seen it.
Newsflash, we'd seen it!
Yes, but we still appreciate them.
We appreciate the effort, but yes. We've seen it for the 10th fucking time. We've seen it.
Right.
Anyways, but so yeah, no, just nothing like that. So I'm curious if you went to Transworld. Maybe this is a secondary question of the week, an unofficial secondary question of the week. What was your big thing? Because I didn't get the feeling there was one. So I'm curious what people thought. Apparently, the Darkness tour and Q&A session did not go well.
Yeah.
I've been seeing a lot of negative reviews, negative images, people talking bad about it, people feeling it was overpriced.
We have no idea. We weren't there.
We weren't there, but I mean, the feedback has not been kind, to put it gently. So yeah, that may be something for Transworld to evaluate in the future. Also, there is a lot of heartburn over Transworld being moved to February next year, February 2nd through the 5th. And I feel you, bro.
Yeah.
I've been to St. Louis around that time.
Yeah, it's cold.
It's fucking cold. It's not just cold. It is fucking cold. And the thing is, it's crazy about it is like St. Louis isn't that far north, realistically. It's like in the middle of the country. It's almost in the exact middle. But it gets colder than things way north of it sometimes that time of year. It's really weird how it pulls it off. So, like, I think one year we were in there in January, and they were colder than Alaska. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was completely insane. So, yeah, it will be cold. It will be miserable to a degree. But, hey, you know, apparently this is not something they could avoid. This was a requirement of the America Center. Basically, they're doing some major renovations to it. So if they're going to have Transworld in the same place again, it's Nerf or nothing, baby.
Yeah.
You know, basically that's it. And finally, the sad part for me personally is we've been seeing lots of images of haunters trashing the area around the conference in the Marriott.
Yeah.
Just leaving trash in planters, throwing things everywhere, the sidewalks of planters, everything near there just filled with trash. And guys, gals, come on. We can do better. I know there's a thing in like Haunt Hub where they're making fun of this guy that threw up, and I don't find that funny at all. I have GI issues. I could be that guy apropos of nothing. I could be that guy stone sober.
Yeah.
I might have just had too much carbonation with my dinner, you know?
Yeah.
I can get it apropos of nothing. I have IBS, I have GI issues galore. So I feel for him. I mean, was it probably alcohol? Probably, but as someone with stomach issues, I am very sympathetic to anyone who was in that position, regardless of how they got there. So yeah, don't pick on them, but instead let's pick on the motherfuckers who did not pick up their trash, strew shit everywhere, and just trashed everything. And, you know, it was an ugly mess. And I get it. That happens with large groups. I live in a tourist town. You know? I live in a tourist town. We get it. We see the aftermath of conventions regularly. But, you know, the thing is this. If you want our industry to be taken seriously, we have to give and we have to respect the things that brung us, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We have to be very careful to show respect, too. So just something to think about. I know it's a good time. I know we're partying. And trust me, I've been to a lot of very button-up conferences where some really fucked up things happen behind the scenes. People getting trashed and having a good time.
Yeah.
Really, really partying down. But got to find that balance, guys. We have to be respectful, especially if this is going to be our premier conference and the one we hinge our industry upon.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of conferences, we have a quick update on Hauntcon. Since we last mentioned them, they are now partnered with Fear Expo. So that's a thing. They will be in Owensboro, Kentucky, and in fact, according to the site and the email I got, basically Fear Expo is providing the logistics of running the conference. I don't know exactly what Hauntcon is providing beyond the name, but I'm assuming they're providing some other services. But if you want to rent a booth or do anything like that, you've got to go through the Fear Expo people. It'll be March 24th through the 26th, which puts it really close to when Transworld normally is. And really close to even with the pushback, I still think it's close to when Transworld is. Is anyone going to go to Transworld in St. Louis in February and then be chomping at the bit to go to Owensboro, Kentucky a month and a half later?
Maybe.
Maybe is the
I
honest
don't
answer.
know.
I don't know. That is a legit question.
Mm-hmm.
I do not know. I do not claim to know. I don't even know if I want to know. But it's a question. Also, they are doing the Ultimate Haunt Tour in November 22, November this year. Locations and dates TBA at this time.
Mm-hmm.
So that will be going head to head with the
Legendary
Haunt Tour. Thank you. For some reason,
At least we think so.
Yeah, Legendary Haunt Tour is still a thing, to my knowledge.
Yeah, I'm going to see if they've put out their dates. But it's usually right at the beginning of November.
Yeah, it's usually right after haunt season. They try to get haunts before they do teardown.
Yeah, which is smart.
Yeah, they have November 11th through the 22nd, so they've already announced.
Yeah.
Okay. These are choices.
Mm-hmm.
These are choices.
It's going to be in Nashville, Tennessee. Oh well. We'll have to add it to the list.
Well, I update the list on weekends. On weeks we do the conference reminders, and we don't do them on odd weeks now.
Yeah, it's kind of odd that we're talking about.
I have to, but we are because this was news. This was stuff that has going on immediately. Mm-hmm. So speaking of getting sidetracked,
yeah, no kidding.
Last week we got a lot sidetracked. Mm-hmm. We started talking about what I think is probably the weirdest haunt we've ever been to. Hands down, and I even include, or the most what the fuck haunt, especially since, and like I put Raven's Grin in lower down, but we were at least warned about Raven's Grin, and we had no idea what we were walking into with the haunted puddle.
No,
we were walking in blind as a bat. So yeah, it was probably our most what the fuck haunt ever. It included full frontal nudity, non-simulated sex, captive animals, fire code violations galore.
And so much more. And if you think we're exaggerating, we're not doing it justice.
No.
With how much what the fuck there was.
No, it included one of the most beautiful scenes I've seen in a haunted attraction. It included some of the most what? Mm-hmm. And a lot of the most confusing scenes too. So yeah, it was just a big pile of what the fuck. It's what happens when an artist collective, which was a word I was trying to think of last week, was collective. Not commune, collective. This is why I suck at Wordle. I get words and I hyper focus on them, and I can't kick them out of my brain.
Yeah.
So, anyways, but yeah, this got us thinking though. What other what the fuck moments did we have? So, to be clear, when we're saying WTF or what the fuck moments, we're not saying they're bad.
No.
In fact, some are quite good. Sometimes that is the exact reaction that you want. Mm-hmm. What the fuck? It can be a very, very positive thing. So what we wanted to do is we sat down over a couple of beers and we just sort of went through and had a conversation with each other about what the most what the fuck moments were. And we decided to break it down 5 as haunt visitors, 5 as haunt operators, with a few honorable mentions.
Thrown in
to give some
lagniappe.
Some lagniappe. We like giving a little extra. We'll say it's a top 10, probably, but realistically it's a 16-ish. So we're going to go from there. The first item, the Beehive at the 13th Gate.
Right. And the 13th Gate is an amazing haunt. Like, it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's what makes it what the fuck.
It is. I mean, it was well-made Beehive. It was there for several years. And it was set, I think, in the wooded sequence.
Yeah, it started there, but I think it moved.
But for the first few years, there were no actors when we went in.
No. Basically, you walk into a beehive, it's dimly lit, and they're playing bee noises.
Yes, and there are strings hanging.
And that was it.
Yeah, and it didn't work. It didn't trip. We have someone with a phobia of bees who did not...
Even grok it. Didn't process this.
No.
Like, we brought in the perfect target for this room.
Yeah, it didn't trip him at all. So yeah.
And the thing about it is, it's like we said, in another haunt, it would have just been a room.
Yeah.
But this is the 13th fucking gate.
Right.
This is a haunt that is so incredibly known for high detailed sets, tons of activity. Things go. One of the things I like about the 13th Gate is their sets are so active.
Yeah, and the thing is that all of the sets are kind of together.
Yeah, there's cohesiveness to it.
Exactly.
There's cohesive even in the non-cohesiveness. Where does it sound?
Right. Yeah, but you walk into one room, that room looks put together. Everything's together.
Yeah.
This stood out because it didn't.
It was a short sequence that didn't really pair well with what came before or after it, but it stood out so strongly in the background of everything. 'Cause like I said, I'm so used to everything in the 13th Gate being active, noisy. You've got things happening. Even in rooms where there aren't a lot of actors or scares, there's always something going on.
Yeah.
Something to take your attention. Something to really make you to perk up. The Beehive did not have that. It looked good. Don't get it wrong. It was not badly made. It was just, it stood out and it made us go, what the fuck? And I'm glad they got rid of it and I'm happy about it. But Jesus.
Yeah.
Did it not fit with everything else they were doing?
Yeah.
It just didn't. And that's the danger of being that good, I guess, is when you have just a normal room or an average room or even a below average room, it really jumps off the page.
It does.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah, it's just, so incredible. Okay. This one is another frustrating one. The guy falling off the bridge at Terror Test. I can laugh about it now because no one was hurt. We'll just get that out of the way.
Yeah.
Because luckily no one was hurt. So we're all allowed to laugh and have our guffaws at it. And please feel free. But basically, Terror Test was probably the least safe haunt I think I've been to. No, I can't say that. No. That warehouse in Slidell was way less safe. I guess I should have added my WTF list, me getting knocked out in Slidell. But I forgot about it. I can't imagine how. That's called a concussion, boys and girls. I should get checked out. But anyways, so this was early in the haunt. This was like the first sign that this was not going to be.
Right.
I think this was actually, the second thing. We had the thorn bush.
Yeah, because it was...
Yeah.
It was like a little cemetery sequence and then walk through the woods, but it wasn't cleared.
No.
Which was how we got Thornbush, and then it was the little bridge.
Yeah. That takes you, this was basically transitioning from the wood sequence toward the back door of the haunt where you go in and start the interior bits.
Yeah, which was more military themed, I think.
But they had a drainage ditch.
Yeah.
A little drainage ditch, not very high, and they built a little footbridge over it.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. That sounds appropriate to do. And the bridge itself, I guess, was sturdy, but it had too steep of an incline for my taste. I mean, I have weather-resistant non-slip shoes. I only wear those types of shoes.
Right.
And even then, I slipped on it a little bit. But then you get onto the top and you realize there's no guardrail, and it's not super wide. It's one person can walk it at a time width, pretty much.
Exactly.
You can't do it 2 by 2. And so we're going, and we have a group with us, and there are 3 people ahead of us, and one of them is a dude with a cane. Now, I don't know why he has a cane. He seemed to be moving fine, but he was using the cane. And you know what? Mobility issues are fucky like that. Don't judge people and how they need to get around.
Yeah.
So I didn't ask any questions. I don't give a shit. But anyways, because the bridge was narrow, we were in the dark, and everything else, the cane missed on his right side, and he was apparently using his weight on it, as he should, and he went right off the side.
Yep.
Just dumped straight off. Now, luckily, it was only like a 3-foot fall.
Yeah.
3 or 4 foot fall.
If that.
And it also helps, I think he fell toward one of the sides, so that he landed kind of on the slopey bit of the ditch. He didn't fall smack into the center.
Yeah, exactly.
So he only took a couple of feet of a spill. But I have never seen anyone fall off a bridge in a haunt before until that moment.
Yes, because the reason he could do this, there were no railings.
None. Not even an attempt at railings.
No. So.
I mean, and the thing about it is, there are multiple ways you can solve this problem of having to cross a ditch. And a bridge is one of them. But if you're going to go the bridge route, you got to do it right. Now, the way it's done, at least in the country, which is where this was, is they put the sewage pipe down and lay gravel over the sewage pipe and make basically a flat walking path.
Right.
That would have been fine too. And that wouldn't have necessitated a rail.
No.
That would have been just something you can do, and that's what I know your parents did when they had to deal with the ditch in front of their new home.
Right.
So it's a common solution. I don't know why that wasn't implemented. It seems like a bridge would be more difficult and possibly more expensive. especially when you factor in building it, correctly, and the ADA, because that was not an ADA bridge either. I mean, not only did the guy with the cane fall off, but if you had been in a proper wheelchair, no chance.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right, next up. The positive one, sorry.
Yes, and we've mentioned this one before.
Oh, but I want to mention it again and again and again. Yeah. I never want to stop mentioning it.
It's the Freaks of Fear bird thingy. We still don't know what it is, because it came in, it swooped over our heads, probably. And
no, it did. It definitely did that.
I know, but we still ducked. And then it was gone.
Yeah, then disappeared. It was, because you have to understand, Freaks of Fear was a haunt we found by accident on the Atlanta trip.
Yeah.
We knew very little bit about it.
Mm-hmm.
We'd run across it while visiting other haunts, and it was not part of the plan.
Right.
But we realized we were so close to it that there was no reason not to go.
Exactly.
But this was a drizzly night in Atlanta, and all the haunts we had plans for pretty much, I think other than Camp Blood, were indoor haunts. Mm-hmm. And Camp Blood had been pushed to the last because they were open later, theoretically, but also to hope the weather would clear.
Right.
And it didn't. But anyways, but we still got to go, so it was cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we go to Freaks of Fear. They are at an extreme disadvantage because of the weather. Most of their staff has already gone.
Right, and they told us this up front
when
we were buying the tickets, which is the way you handle that.
Yeah, they literally said, look, guys, we're sorry, a lot of the staff has already gone home because of the weather. If you don't want to come, we're going to come back later. I understand. Just wanted you to know that before you bought your ticket.
Yeah.
That was perfectly ethical. I said, nope, this is our one shot. Hit us with what you got. And I got to admit, their front of house team hit us real good. Yeah. They were good and creepy.
Yeah, I like them.
I like them a lot. And then we got in, and yeah, I'll admit it. The interior of the haunt was a little dead. The interior, the trail.
Yeah.
There was no fucking interior. It's a trail, Jonathan. The trail was a little dead.
Yeah, but, I mean, half their haunt...
we knew that.
Half their crew had gone.
And you know what? Yeah. In a weird way, I think that made it more intense. Because now we're anticipating shit. We're in our own heads. Mm-hmm. And then, sure enough, as you said, we come around a corner, and then this bird, I don't know how the fuck it was attacked. I don't know how any of this fuck, I mean, I know...
It's gotta be pulleys, but I just want to know who,
my watch has decided to join the podcast.
Yes. But yeah, it's gotta be pulleys, but I want to know who was the one to climb up into the trees to, make the mechanisms work.
Yeah. And basically, it swooped down, and I know it was not realistically anywhere in our heads.
No.
But when something's coming down at you like that, it doesn't matter if it's missing you by 10 inches or 10 feet. It looks the exact same.
Yep.
And so we ducked. And, I mean, I didn't, jump all the way on the floor like the South by Southwest. North by Northwest. Jesus Christ, South by Southwest is the conference.
Yes, I know. Our friends were just there.
Yes, I know. There's the other big conference going on in our life. No, but we didn't drop it forward. We really ducked.
Yeah.
And then it went behind us, and we could not see because of the way the coverage was overhead where it went.
Yeah.
It was just brilliantly done, and it made that haunt stand. Between that and the front of house actors, I will never forget that haunt, even though they were probably at half staff.
Yeah.
That was an amazing impression.
Yeah.
All right. Next item up for bid. The circus theme at the mortuary. I tried to find what the actual name was. This seems to have been scrubbed from the annals of history. And if so,
I don't blame them.
And if so, it's a good idea. Maybe not the worst thing you could do. Look, the mortuary is a great building. Mm-hmm. It's a good haunt too, but the main asset they have, their best feature is the building. And I think they're aware of that because you see their marketing and how they promote it. They lean very heavily on that. Mm-hmm. It is an actual, 18th or 19th century mortuary. It looks badass. It is a historic building. This building fucks. Mm-hmm. This is a great building. And every year, because it's a historic building, it's kind of also a knockdown haunt. Because they have escape rooms and ghost hunting and Christmas specials and other things. They have to knock down the haunt. So each year they do a different theme.
Yeah.
And usually, most years, the theme at least kind of plays off of the actual building. Until that one goddamn year they thought to go a different direction.
Yeah.
They just covered a whole fucker in plastic and called it a circus. I'm not even making that up.
Yeah. So many clowns, so much vinyl.
Vinyl.
Yeah.
I mean,
some scene setters.
Yeah, you talk about scene setters.
Yeah.
I mean, some of it was custom printed, some of it was store bought. I mean, it was just vinyl and plastic everywhere, and clowns and circus people in a clearly not circus environment. We're in a goddamn library and in a mortuary built sometime in the 1800s, and there are clowns and ringmasters coming at me. I'm a little confused. I'm not gonna lie. It looked terrible. It did not fit the theme of the building. And luckily, they got done with that. They put all that shit away and forgot about it until they opened up Scout Island, which they actually have a carnival theme for.
Yeah.
It at least makes sense there.
It does.
And it's probably, since it's vinyl, outdoor resistant. And it's weather resistant. So that actually kind of makes sense. I don't hate it there. It's not the coolest thing there by any stretch, but it makes so much more sense there than it did inside the mortuary. And and a good example is we actually wanted to do a positive hat tip here.
Yeah.
To show that What the Fucks can be really positive.
Exactly.
This was a really positive What the Fuck from the same haunt.
Yeah. So from the mortuary.
From the mortuary. Their 10th anniversary, I think it was.
Yes.
They did a birthday and anniversary theme, and part of the anniversary theme was they brought back old characters, they brought back old scares, but they had one room that really stood out, and that was a birthday cake room.
Yes. Yes, small cakes, one giant cake with somebody popping out of it. You know, the
not a stripper. Not a stripper, sadly.
No, but I think it was a succubus, though.
Well, it was dark, and that is one recurring issue. The mortuaries is too dark. You can't always see. We really don't know what was popping out of it.
But yeah, there's giant cake and little cakes, and that was fun.
And it still fit the theme because it looked like a party, and I think that was once again in that library room, wasn't it? The big library room?
Yeah, I think so.
It was once again in that giant library room. That's exactly where you would host a party like that.
Yeah.
It actually made sense. It all fit in my brain. Yeah. So anyways, the last of our What the Fucks for other haunts.
The Evil Intentions chainsaw room placement.
Specifically the placement.
Yes, because we've talked about this too.
But never want to stop talking about it either.
Yeah.
Basically in Chicago, Evil Intentions, What the Fuck does hard. We got, scared is the wrong term, but we got, Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
What's going on here? Because they had the big-ass chainsaw room, the big open room with a door in the back that hopefully blows some of the fumes out, and 3 chainsaw people whipping around and scaring people with chainsaws. And we heard the chainsaws, we get into the room, and we're like, okay, it's over. And we were like, you know what? It's been nice. Wasn't the longest haunt in the world, but it didn't feel super short.
Yeah.
It felt, it was kind of bang in the middle-ish in terms of length. Okay, so get to there, turn the corner, go out, and no, you're maybe at the halfway point.
Yeah.
Maybe. Because you walk out into like a courtyard type thing that is set up as a outdoor temple scene. And it was huge. And so you just know that they fucked with you.
Yeah.
They put that in there to get you to think it was over when it's really just beginning.
Yeah. And that was really cool. And I like moments like that where it makes my brain stop for a minute and say, wait, what's going on here?
Whoa, hang on. Make signals, bro. Hang on.
Yeah. Something's not right. So
anyways, real fast, some honorable mentions. All of Raven's Renin.
Yeah.
And realistically, we've done so... And the only reason I didn't put that one in the list is because we've done so much of Raven's Renin.
Yeah.
And also the fact that we were warned.
Yeah, so, but I'm going to pull out one Raven's Renin moment.
Go for it.
It is a slide.
Okay.
It is where you disappeared through the floor because I did not remember hearing about slides. You laid down on the floor and you were gone.
Well, and it's so weird because from my perspective in that slide, I had that Wile E. Coyote moment of hang time before I dropped. So yeah, it felt kind of the opposite on my side. But there were tons. My what the fuck moment that I was caught unaware was the 10 snips.
Yeah. The tin snips.
He pretended like he was going to cut off your finger, and he had tin snips with the centerpiece removed so they wouldn't actually close. And I didn't honestly know how to react to that because he's like, "Okay, are you okay with me doing this?" And I'm like,
it's like, we haven't been asked that in a haunt. It's like,
I don't have, and then I just sort of freeze, and then he does it, and he squeezes, and it shows it doesn't move. And like, you just would have let your girlfriend get her finger cut off.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's like, no, you've got to go down the slide first, you asshole. That's why I was on the slide first.
Yeah.
Also, Statesville Clown Room. I'm not usually one that was fond of Clown Room, but what was interesting about this was you go from a very narrow, very focused scene. I believe it was the hospital right before. Or was it the hospital / prison? But anyways, you go from there, the very confined, very narrow halls, well, relatively narrow halls, to this big open 360 room with prop-based layout and...
Right, and you also go from the drab colors into this bright, colorful world that doesn't fit the theme, but it's still fun. Like, it's really fun.
Like, and that's the thing. It's like, you can do rooms that don't fit the theme as long as they are fun enough to hold their own.
Yeah, like, I think they had trapeze artists or something. There was movement everywhere. It's hard to remember now, just how much was going on.
Well, it was built around those blocks, those like giant toy blocks, obviously.
But there was a focal point too.
Yeah, and so you knew where you were supposed to go, but you were now 360. It felt like being in virtual reality, where everywhere you look, you're still in the game.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to look where you're not in the game.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was cool. And the multi-slides at Hell's Gate.
So
this, once again, the pitfalls of having an amazing haunt.
Yeah.
To be clear.
And this, I wanted to put this one in because everything else at Hell's Gate is so beautifully done. So beautifully done. And the slides at that point, at least, there was no theming on the walls. There was just, here's a slide.
And
taking the behind the scenes tour, we understand why they have to be there.
It's either that or a stairwell down, basically, is the answer. And here's the thing. Part of it is that Hell's Gate has that marketing where we're that haunt from the 1970s. You heard about this 30 stories tall and $10 to go, but you get it back if you can make it out, or last 3 hours, or
find a
key, or whatever. They're playing off of that, and part of that myth is always has the bajillion story slide, and these slides are not big. Like City Museum is filled with much, much bigger slides. These are very tame slides in every respect of that word. And I mean, it's still cool to do a slide.
Yeah.
But
rather do slide than stairs.
Damn right. Especially going downstairs. Wreck your knees. But yeah, it was just frustrating because it felt like it should have been a bigger deal than it was.
Yeah, and it also felt like a choke point.
Yeah.
Like, it really slowed down the throughput. Like, that's the one area that I think that was slow, and we actually saw other people.
Yeah. And once again,
it was fixed right after.
No, once again, this is the thing this is the pitfall of having a really great haunt.
Yeah.
Is anything that isn't up to that level is going to stand out. Once again, in another haunt, this would have just probably rolled right off of us.
Yeah.
But at Hell's Gate, because of how good it is, it got a lot of attention. All right, so we've got a little bit of time left. Let's talk about, really fast, some of our WTF moments at our haunt. And I didn't make a lot of notes for these because these are memories you and I have talked about so much. But the first one for me, this one happened to me at front of house. I've talked about it a few times before, but it always bears repeating. We have a home haunt. There's only one way through it. It's not a very long haunt, I admit it.
No.
625 square feet. All we got. We make it work. But they're getting ready to let a group in. Kid pulls on my coattails and says, "Mister, are we going in the long way or the short way?" What the fuck?
Yeah.
I didn't have an answer. And like, what's the difference? Well, the short way is where they let you in and then you basically come right back out. And then the long way is where they try to really grab you and hurt you. I'm like, man, there's some, and I just realized, and that was the moment I realized, man, there's some urban legends going on out there about us.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was, we've never been a touch haunt.
No.
Like, we've had one actor one time, I think, who we just didn't give enough direction to. And so they reached out and lightly brushed the back of someone as they walked past. But, yeah, we've never been a grab or a touch haunt, so I don't know
where all this is coming
from. But apparently, it's out there.
All right.
All right. Next, it's just impeccable timing. Like, how the fuck did this timing happen? Because
this is almost more of a how the fuck than a what the fuck in some ways.
Because we had a customer run, and he thought he was running into a solid wall. Why you would do that, I don't know. But what he actually did was shoulder blocked a 2x4 right in the middle that was in the process of falling because that wall was made of fabric.
It was a false wall.
Yeah.
We used a very thin shim-like fabric that looked solid, and the idea was you could drop it and make the whole wall disappear.
Yeah,
it was a cool effect.
I think that was actually the first iteration of it, so we may have used canvas that year.
Okay.
So it looked a little more solid, the shims that we used later. But still, he broke it, a 2x4 in half with his shoulder and walked away.
No dislocation, no break.
No, just laughing.
And laughing his ass off. And meanwhile, you're finding brackets and trying to repair a 2x4 on a hot night.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, we need a few minutes. So, yeah, you never know what you need in your go bag.
Yeah, and that's when we started adding flat brackets. Because we had some of the angle brackets and other brackets like that for if things move or something like that. Those have always been in the go bag, but now we have flat brackets too, because apparently that can happen. Broke it right in the middle, just unreal. I still to this day, like you said, don't know. I'm pretty sure he felt it the next day though.
Yeah.
All right. The spear in the back, as I like to talk about this one. One year, one of the earlier years we were working, we did this. We had very bad haunt design. And we had a very long hallway that went straight from the entrance on the right-hand side of the garage all the way to the back. And it was set up in such a way that there were no scares in the first, I would say, 20, 30 feet of it.
Yeah.
No, it would be the first 20 feet of it, because it's 25 by 25.
Yeah.
So the first 15, 20 feet of it, there was nothing. But the very end of the hallway was a drop panel. And smart person would have done, and haunt design is, never have a linear hallway that long. It's way too long.
Yeah.
But if you're going to, and if you have to, the first scare goes around the corner. But regardless, we fucked up. And
we didn't know then what we know now. That was like our second or third year.
This was like 2008, 2009, maybe.
Yeah.
Regardless, drop panel hits, one family, adult family, full-on adults.
Okay.
Or at least two adults. There was adults in this.
I don't remember. I remember it differently than you, but
regardless, whoever they were large enough.
Yes, that is true.
Because they came barreling back out the entrance after the drop panel hit. I'm hanging there by the entrance, doing my shtick, minding my business, and just entertaining the crowd. They hit me in the back. This was before we built the queue line structure, kind of mercifully. Okay. And I ended up sailing about 10 horizontal feet before I crashed down. And luckily I tuck and roll, and I ended up not being injured. But the next morning I felt that.
Yeah.
Luckily this was Halloween night, and I didn't have to do all that much the next day because I was hurting. But it's like, what the fuck? You ran 30 feet and plowed through a human being rather than tank the scares. Oh my god. Anyways, next up.
Yeah. Next up. This was our first year.
Yes, the very first year. Though we have seen this behavior other times, I think.
And we would see it repeated multiple times with multiple different family members.
Yes.
Or partners in the future. This was the first time to see it in person.
And to see it, I think we still have not seen it this plainly. Maybe, though. Go ahead.
Okay.
You would know better than me.
Anyway, so A guy and a girl come up. They're looking at the decorations. This was our first year, 2005, and we had themed out as Alice in Horrorland. It's the only year we've ever used a non-original theme.
Yeah.
Because it was,
It was Katrina. It was the year of Katrina. We did we had to work with what we had.
Exactly. There was not a lot of time. There were no materials. So
use what you got on hand.
Exactly. So that's what we did, and we had a giant drop panel.
Big Bertha! I miss you, Big Bertha.
It was on a concrete porch that was hollow, and they're sitting there looking at the decorations, and I point out something that's right on the drop panel. Mm-hmm. And they get like nose to it close. The drop panel hits. He picks up, this is a large guy, he picks up his tiny girlfriend, puts it between him and the monster, and runs away.
And the thing is, it's like, she was behind them. She was on the other side, clearly the other side. She was 180 degrees away from it.
Yeah.
And like you said, that drop panel hits up underneath, like she was a child, and puts her right in front of my bolt. Yeah. So look at it from my perspective, which is the really weird. I hear the drop panel. He comes running, and then there's some still time, and I'm like, weren't there two people in there? And eventually she comes walking back out, because this was just our porch in our front yard this year. It wasn't like long distance or anything.
No.
And she is pissed. Like, yeah, okay, you were that scared of the Jabberwocky. Now you're going to have something to be afraid of, homie.
Yeah, it was... Yeah, that might actually be the funniest moment in
our
haunt.
Because she comes out, and she's stomping and arms flailing anger. I don't know where the dude is, but I'm sure he heard all of it.
Yeah, that one I can laugh at. Now, the parents who sacrifice their kids so that they can run is a much different feeling.
Oh, man, that's a dark feeling when that happens. Because we do see that happen more than you would think. You think like the protective instinct would be there, but no.
No,
screw that. But even worse, in a weird way, even worse than sacrificing your kid and all else, is the "ma'am, you dropped your kid" incident.
Yeah.
We have a rule in our haunt now, because we're home haunt, and so we cater to all ages. We try to cater as many ages as we can. But we have a rule that everyone has to walk or be in a wheelchair. Everyone has to walk. And the reason for that is this. It only happened once. But Jesus, was it terrifying. And a hardcore WTF moment.
Yeah.
Because we got through the first room into the second room, so there's still where I can hear what's going on very clearly.
Right.
Apparently the scare triggered in that room. And a woman was carrying a 4-year-old or something. A kid that could walk, was big enough to walk, but she was carrying him. I don't carrying a boy or girl. I don't know which it was. And then her arms just threw up, and the kid went straight down and splatted on concrete.
Yeah.
Now, luckily, kids are made of fucking rubber.
Yeah.
Kid was fine. I don't know how. That sounded like a fucking bag of wet sand hitting the ground. It is a horrible sound if you've ever heard it. It's one of the worst. And like I said, I heard it outside. I heard it loud enough that I literally came in. I try to avoid coming in when there are customers. Yeah. I ran in. And she was trying to run, and her kid was like a lump of clay on the ground. Yeah. And we're like, "Ma'am, you dropped your kid." And you, oh yeah. And so from now on, everybody walks her in a wheelchair.
Yeah. We
will provide the wheelchair.
Yeah.
It's just Jesus, Murphy.
In fact, if you've got kids in the future, you should offer the parents to push them in the wheelchair.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, because there are some times when I've stalked people and they've picked them up halfway through.
Yeah, and I can only do so much with that.
Exactly.
But I think the wheelchair idea is a good one. That's something I'm going to look at implementing.
Yeah.
And our dishonorable mentions, because these are all three dishonorable.
Yeah.
Because everything above, I can at least say, well, they were scared.
Yeah.
They were not thinking.
Something,
Fear response.
Exactly.
Here, these are just fucking assholes. Right? These three are just fucking assholes. Somebody's go, what the fuck? That's why they're dishonorable mentions and not getting actual more time than necessary. First, the group that tried to destroy the haunt that one year.
Yeah. Yeah, there was one year that was just, it was a terrible year. I don't know what was going on that year, but it was just bad. And they came in and they started grabbing things and trying to tear it off the wall. Now, at this point, it was early in our career as home haunters.
Mm-hmm.
So we
It was
did
late
not,
in the night, luckily, though.
yeah, but it was, we were not building to the standards we are today. It's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Because they could tear things off the wall. You
Yeah,
cannot now.
They tore dummies down.
Yeah.
And it's one of the situations where they didn't really break much, but they did enough damage that we had to close.
Yeah.
We still had a few people in line, and we had
to close early.
We had no walking path anymore, and we did not have a way to clean and repair the damage in the 15 to... It was like I said, very late at night.
Mm-hmm.
In the minutes we had left, we just didn't have a way, and I hate closing when there are people in line. That's something I hate above all else. But it was these 4 assholes that did it, and this was also when we started really tripling down on security cameras and focusing on things like that. This happened I think it was like 2010. This was one of our hard lessons. And that year was just a bad year in so many ways. We almost never did it again after that year.
Right.
Because we also had issues with actors. We had issues.
That was the year the candy was stolen.
And the year the candy was stolen. That was just a god-awful, no-good year. I'm glad we persevered.
Yeah.
But yeah, no one in history would have blamed us if that had been our last.
No.
Also, the guy that took a swing on John B., one of our actors, I mean, okay, people have the fear response. A swing, and if you have that response, don't go to a haunted house, please.
Right.
Just don't.
That's not what happened here, though.
No. That's not what we're talking about. Because I've only seen this particular thing happen once. I've seen customers get panicked and flail and take swings and whatnot. I've seen that. There's a difference between that and what we're describing here.
Yeah, because I heard them in line saying, "Watch this." And I was the person in the first room. They didn't mess with me, but I...
Smart move.
Yeah. Yeah. But they went to the second room and took a swung at our actor, who's a mountain of a man.
Yeah, he's a little bit shorter than me, but he is built like a brick shithouse, is the
I
expression.
didn't think he was shorter than
I think
you.
he's about my height.
Yeah.
But he is all muscle.
Yeah.
He's like just head to toe, pure muscle. And you look like, of all the actors in my haunt, he's the one I'd want to fight the least.
Yeah.
Because he's young, he is strong as fuck, and I'm pretty sure he could powerbomb either of the floorboards.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, he took a swing at him, and I asked him, "Did that guy take a swing?" And of course, we had to throw him out.
Yeah, we threw him out. And the people I feel kind of bad for in this is the 2 or 3 people that were with him, because they wanted to go through it.
Yeah,
but your whole group is gone, buddy.
Yeah.
You pick better friends. Come back next year, pick better friends.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that they did. I really do.
Yeah, and good on them if they did. And the final dishonorable mention is the guy that quote-unquote works for us.
Yeah.
What the fuck? And he's done it multiple years is the problem. Even after we've kicked him out, we've even threatened to call the cops on this guy. There's a guy in our neighborhood, I won't say his name here, but everyone around here knows his name. And what he does is he puts on, I think, a Leatherface mask or something, or Jason? Freddy, he's Freddy, that's right. And he comes out with a chainsaw, which is not Freddy. That's why I thought Leatherface.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, I mean, at least I know my horror movies. And basically scares people waiting in line. Now, if he came to me and said, "Oh, yeah, I want to be an actor. Can I work front of house?" I might have been able to find a way to work with him.
Yeah.
But the problem is, A, he never did that.
No.
B, he is incredibly unsafe and routinely scares people to the road. We have a rule that our front of house scare actors follow, which is scare away from the street.
Yeah.
Scare everyone toward the line or toward the trick-or-treat area. Do not scare them into the yard. Do not scare them into the street.
Yeah. And realistically, it's don't even scare towards the trick-or-treat area because we don't, except, well, if it's not Halloween night, then that's okay.
Yeah.
Because there aren't little kids over there. But if it's Halloween night, don't scare that way.
Yeah, we're very careful to keep them scared toward the queue line and in that area. And the people I work with and the people I know, because I'm always at the very front of house, they do a good job.
Yeah.
Farrell, Michael, and the others we've worked with, they understood this. They got it. They were safe. They were effective. And they had a good time.
Yeah.
I love you. I love you guys. You guys are great. This asshole needs to die in a fucking fire because he comes every year and then he tries to tell front of house staff, including Ellie, that I work here. Oh no, I work here. I work with these guys. I know them. And the thing is, he literally knows none of our names.
No, none of our names, and he's always falling down drunk when he gets there.
Yeah. And the thing is, he actually does know our names because we see him at the bar semi-regularly. We used to, at least.
On the street whenever we're walking around.
Yeah, he knows who we are. He just doesn't apparently know our names. He absolutely has no reason not to, but he can't even name us. So, of course, he doesn't work with us. And like I said, we've had to threaten to kick him out. We've had to threaten to call the cops. He's been that big of a problem year after year after year. And basically, I tell, Farrell, I tell the other people in front of the house, if you see this guy, get Ellie. And Ellie will, because Ellie's superpower is she's the responsible adult.
Yeah, exactly.
Let the responsible adult come out and take care of it. And she does it like a fucking champ. Every home haunt needs a responsible adult.
Exactly.
She is legitimately, even though she is not a haunter by her own name and a haunt widow by her further definition, I think she's become an invaluable asset to the haunt.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Well, that's it. That's our Haunt WTF moments. It's been a lot of WTF today, but we greatly appreciate you hanging with us. Check out more Haunt Weekly. You can find it at hauntweekly.com, Haunt Weekly on Twitter, Haunt Weekly on Facebook, and youtube.com/Haunt Weekly, as well as wherever you get your podcast from. Apple Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, whatever floats your boat. But yeah, this has been a lot. I think it's time to go get some dinner, though.
Yeah.
So on that note, everyone, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And we will see you all next week.